2008, an era in gaming full of wonder as devs pushed the limit of the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Every title was bigger and better, new mechanics, sharper graphics, fancy new rendering tech. The players were eating well. The shooter genre as a whole had been building momentum for years, but nothing sent it into the stratosphere quite the way the 7th console generation did. And DICE, the company known for big explosive war games, fielded something that was totally different than every other FPS hitting the market at the time. The visuals were starkly minimalist, washed out white, yellow, and gray with contextual splashes of red to lead you along. A city made of glass and slabs of concrete that looked straight out of an Aperture science laboratory. And, in a move that was very unlike DICE at the time, a focus on movement over everything else, even combat. We're looking back at Mirror's Edge today. Maybe I'm late to the party, but no game before or since has made the act of running feel as, well, good. I've played the hell out of Dying Light 2, and I originally picked this up because I enjoyed its reboot so much in 2016, and those are both great. But there's layers of abilities to unlock. In the case of the Dying Light series, its identity is stuck somewhere between brutal slasher and parkour sim. And Catalyst had an open world that, while pretty to look at and usually pretty enjoyable to run around, it served as little more than a vehicle for the time trials and ended up slowing them down with load times and extra navigation to and from the areas more than it made them feel like part of a world. The first Mirror's Edge is an impressively pure gaming experience. I nearly beat it in a single sitting when I went ahead and downloaded it again after it spent a few years gathering dust in my Xbox library. You start with a simple tutorial that gives you all of the controls, of which there aren't many. Move, crouch, jump, quick turn, disarm, and punch. That's it. You're a small Asian lady named Faith, a human, not Doom guy like ripping and tearing his way through an arena. So, from the start, you are told to avoid conflict as it brings unnecessary heat to the runners. The first few levels let you feel out the movement controls and get used to finding a path in the kind of liminal flavored city, typically marked by red traversal points. Our protagonist, Faith, has recently returned to her place as a runner in what is only referred to as the city. You do mostly courier work for groups that want to stay off of the corporate radar, and an odd job here and there involving a little bit of espionage. Faith had a bad fall, as pointed out by our man in the chair, Merc.
Training time, Faith. Yeah, I know you hate it, but that fall took you out of commission for a while. And now you're back, you gotta keep sharp, especially in this city.
And she needs to be put through her paces before hitting the rooftops again. A series of obstacles are each demonstrated by one of your fellow runners, Celeste, after which you take a shot at them, and if failed, you repeat until successful. Once you've got the basics of movement down, you do a little bit of light sparring to make sure you're still in shape and know how to disarm somebody trying to blast you, and with the simple tutorial completed, you are sent out on a warm-up mission to just drop off some data. Typically in the city, the cops don't bother the runners, so long as runners stay out of the way of the corporations. But today, they're apparently feeling pretty trigger-happy. So your morning run turns into more of a morning flight. You bust a few moves, make a few jumps, and swing away to safety hanging from a helicopter in true action movie fashion. As far as cinematic intro sequences go, Mirror's Edge comes out swinging. It sets the stakes and tone that you'll be feeling for the entire playthrough. Regardless of the story, which is great, this game creates fantastic levels of tension. The sound of bullets hitting the wall behind you as you zip along the rooftops, the jolt of fear when a couple more cops than you're comfortable beating up cut you off from a clean getaway. It keeps you on edge during every single action sequence. Aside from giving you a blockbuster sort of action-adventure vibe that doesn't feel forced upon you like some games do, it's also just a fantastic puzzle game and platformer as a whole. A number of levels involve bounding nimbly-bimbly about futuristic office buildings, shopping malls, and various towers that are as much platforming puzzle as they are free-running courses. But when an actual environmental puzzle pops up, they do a great job of naturally guiding you to a solution without, telling you anything directly. While there's plenty of times that this philosophy kind of shines through in the game, I feel like the clearest demo of it is in Chapter 9, about halfway through that final level. The Shard. You find the door that you must presumably go through to access the next area, but it's locked, and your legs just don't have enough juice to give this one the boot. But you see a red turnable valve, and your monkey brain uses its pattern recognition trap card to deduce turn wheel, open door. So you do. A few valves further down the line blow up from this action, and poor little Faith is immolated in a luxury office building. Round 2. You remember that it seemed the pipes caught fire and blew up in sequence, so maybe you just gotta find the gap in said sequence. You turn the valve, run back and forth looking for a spot that propane isn't bathing you, but once again, you go up in flames. You respawn, knowing that third time is the charm. So you hunt around just a little more before testing out your flash resistance again. Only this time, you notice a little alcove in the ceiling, so you poke your head in to check it out. It is conveniently positioned between valves and just high enough to keep you from getting singed too bad. So you crank the gas on, climb into the brand new hidey hole, and blammo, the door is blown right off the hinges. Okay, maybe a more methodical player would poke around first and piece the puzzle together by the time that they actually hit the valve on their first pass. You may have been bouncing around like a wild man and happened to notice the hole right above your head and gotten the answer quicker. But there is an art to placing solutions just far enough out of you that you can kinda blow by them on accident if you fall into tunnel vision, making them a little difficult, but in a way that helps you get over the other side of the hump. Outside of the platforming and puzzling, the visuals have also aged like a fine wine. Faces are always a little wonky in games, even nowadays, but the environment looks as good as the day it dropped. The light fuzziness hides the low-resolution textures, and high contrast between the world and its little accents gives it this Valve-like liminal feeling that Portal and Half-Life built a whole niche for. And the use of red splashes on objects of interest gave it a unique way of pointing you in the right direction without just slapping on a glowing trail or generic compass. I do feel like Valve's old flagship games are the closest relative Mirror's Edge has in the industry. Portal did something that at the time was totally new and whipped out an aesthetic that looks great nearly 20 years later, and it only beat Mirror's Edge to release by about a year. We can always thank tech limitations for the processor power saving shortcuts that got us those aesthetics though. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, the reboot and reimagining of our dear little running game that dropped in 2016, went the route of as much detail as you can pull out of an X-Bone. And it does still look good, but it lacks some of the charm that stylized graphics hold on to years later. So you don't need photoreal environments and massive open worlds with bloated side quests or collectibles. You can field a game with focused storylines, a concise, refined set of mechanics, and an art style that strays pretty far from the norm. And as long as it feels like the devs put their heart in it, the players tend to be pretty happy with just getting something new. So why have there been two titles almost a decade apart, neither with any prospect of sequels? The market for free-running games is obviously out there. You've got niche indie titles like Rooftops and Alleys, and then AAA offerings like the mashup of parkour and dismemberment that is the Dying Light series. The more you dig, the more it turns out, as always, it mostly just boils down to money. If your studio is one of EA's, chances are that you will be expected to crank out very large budget games that can be run for long periods of time and make big piles of cash. Mirror's Edge and Catalyst both got plenty of praise at release, and sales were fine. But fine isn't good enough for a company that is one of the largest gaming enterprises ever. So here we are today, booting up a game that's almost old enough to buy liquor so that we can hop along the rooftops in a fashion that my knees would be absolutely destroyed by attempting. Thanks for running with us till the end. If you like what you saw, leave a comment, like and subscribe, or find our music on your streaming service of choice. Keep your feet under you, runners, and we'll see you next time on the Horizon Initiative.